Oh, geez. Kia ora e te whānau. I'm here to put the score up for Piopio. Hands up if you're from Piopio. Any Piopio in the house? Piopio, exactly. Anyone here from Palmerston North? Hey, whāmi. Anyone here from Dunedin or from the south? Kia ora koutou. No kawai heke o Maniapoto me Waikato, ko whararangi koe papāmataku ingoa. It is a privilege to be here on the stage, and I feel very, very humbled by all of the speakers that have gone before me. And I stand here today to make a confession. I have a love-hate relationship with sport. And that's because sport is a contested terrain that both challenges and reinforces dominant ideologies and racism and sexism. And we have to fight and debate and discuss how we can utilise sport for Māori, by Māori, with Māori on a daily basis. And to try and illustrate that to you, I want you to picture this. It's 2018. I've been on the New Zealand Rugby Board for 2 years. I was the first woman on the board in 142 years. 142 years. And that's even though wahine women have been the ones that are cooking in the kitchen, in the rugby club. They're there making sure their children are there. They're the greatest fans of rugby, and women have always wanted to play rugby. So when the opportunity came to get onto that board in 2016, was I there to be a token gesture? Probably. Was I there to fix some of the problems around the perception of rugby when it was going through a challenging time? Yes, probably. But like on the rugby field, I saw that space and I took it. And I decided to put my name in and I got on. So 2 years later, I get asked if I would like to be part of the bidding team to host the Rugby World Cup here in Aotearoa, New Zealand in 2021. And I once again said, yes, I'm up for that. And I want you to picture what it was like for me. This is what I did. I dressed up in my black suit, put on my little fern. I was in my hotel room doing a karakia to kind of G myself up. And then I walked into the World Rugby Council room in Ireland. I walked in there pretty confident, and then I got behind the podium, ready to do my speech. And I looked up, and nobody was looking up. It was a room full of predominantly men. They looked like old props and locks. And they weren't even looking at me. I felt so unseen. I felt so small. I felt so insignificant. So what did I do? Took off my shoes, came around the front of the podium, and I did this. Uhia mai, ko he mamaku e nguru nei au e ha. Ko hene ahuone, ko hene titama, ko hene nui te pō ki te whae au, ki te ao maramai. Hi a ha ha. That got their attention. Put my shoes back on. I'll just leave them. But I did that as well to ground myself and to centre myself and make myself feel connected to my whānau. And I felt all of those women that had gone before me, that had wanted to play rugby, that did play rugby, and I was there for them. Oops, can I go back? Anyway, so out of that, you talk about the wahine in that pūrākau. So Hine Ahuone was the first woman in human form, and she was the first. So when you're the first doing anything, you make lots of mistakes. And I've made lots of mistakes. But you're there and you're trying to figure things out and you're trying to make it really good for the next generation. The next generation is Hine Titama. And like many daughters or sons, you want to challenge the old guard. You want to do things differently. You want to set your own kind of rules. So that second generation of women who played rugby wanted to push a little bit more. And then you've got the third generation, Hine Nui Te Pō, When you're hinenui te pō, you become a guardian. You become a guardian for those that will follow, and you are a lot wiser. So that's the third generation of women who play rugby. So I've always felt that mana wahine and pūrākau is what drives me when I play rugby. And people say, well, you must have always been a leader. And I feel like an imposter all the time when I'm in leadership positions. But I believe in this idea of continuous improvement and becoming rather than being. So I don't see myself as being a leader. I always see myself as becoming a leader and learning along the way. And while you're on your journey, you've got to have some fun. You've got to understand that you will fail, and you've got to have a little bit of fear as well. This is me playing in the 1998 Rugby World Cup, and that's a fridge with a head on top trying to tackle me from Scotland. But being called a fridge with a head on top is a real compliment in women's rugby. The bigger you are, the better. And that was a huge moment for me. 1998, a little country bumpkin from Pio playing on the world stage. And when we went it was in Amsterdam of all places. Anyone been to Amsterdam? A lot of other things going on in Amsterdam, but the Women's World Cup was there. And we got off the bus to check out the ground. And when we were at the ground, we see this man standing in the grandstand all by himself. And he's got a big New Zealand flag, and he's bought himself an All Blacks jersey, and it's a bit tight for him. His puku's sticking out the bottom. And this guy's Pākehā fella, and he's standing there going, "Go New Zealand, go New Zealand." No one else is there. I go, "Who is that doofus?" And I'm the last off the bus, and I go, "Oh my God, it's my dad." So I got a few people in here who are there who can vouch for me that my dad was in Amsterdam with us. I'm sure he was there to watch the rugby. But, I felt all of these things. I failed, but I had lots of fun and I grew lots. And then in 2001, we'd been on a winning streak. We got our name, the Black Ferns. We were on Paul Holmes, on the Home Show. We were kind of doing really well when the All Blacks were doing really badly. So we got a lot of attention. And then in 2001, we lost to England. And that was a low for us. And we realised that we were focusing on all the negatives and trying not to make mistakes and how many drop balls do you have. So in 2002, we wanted to change our focus and we came up with BTB. Now, BTB means better than before, and it also means back to back. So it's a process goal and it's an outcome goal. So everything we did, we wanted to be better than before. So we tried to be better than before in our fitness tests and our strength tests and, the number of successful things we did. And we won again in 2002. We also did the haka, a Ngāti Porou haka, ka panapana, which is about women's sexuality and strength. So that was really uplifting for us as well. And then in 2003, we had a change of coach. If anyone's read this book, it's called Who Moved My Cheese? It's really small. And I was struggling as the captain dealing with a new coach who did everything differently, and all the things that we used to do, he didn't want to do anymore. So I was resisting this change. And Jackie Barron was our manager, and she put this book on my bed in my room in a hotel and just left it on the pillow, and it's small enough for me to read overnight, so I read it. And really it was about embracing change. Sometimes you have to go through change, even if you don't want to. And I wanted to stay in the team, so I understood that I had to go through change. It was tough, but I had to do it. And I've ended up teaching in leadership and teamwork at university, at Massey University, plugging Massey University. And I really struggle with some of the leadership theories because they're very Western. We talk about transactional leadership, transformational leadership, distributed leadership. And it wasn't until I read this book, Wayfinding, and I think one of the authors might be in the room here tonight. So kia ora, it really resonated with me. And it's also kind of what's behind the movie Moana. You might have some mixed feelings about that movie, but it kind of gives you an idea of what it's about. So it's about not really knowing where you're going, but knowing that you want to get somewhere that's not here, and then figuring out who do you need to get on the waka with you. What are the things that you need in order to get to that point? So these are my values. I navigate by my values. You might have your own values that help you to navigate the hākinakina, te awa hākinakina, or being in leadership roles, or whatever it is. Find your values and they will guide you. Then you get into leadership roles and you're so busy saying yes to all these opportunities, and then you realize it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about growing the people around you. So I started to pass it back and give other people opportunities. And I would see what their strengths were and say, do you want to do this? So in the Black Ferns, I would say, would you like to do the pre-game speech? Would you like to lead the haka? Would you like to do the waiata? And start kind of just sharing the load and letting them have an opportunity to shine. And it's all about whakawhanaungatanga. And I've always believed that you can achieve more when you are a part of something, part of a whānau. And for me, rugby was my whānau. And I haven't really shared much about my upbringing, but my dad is Pākehā, as I said, but I lived with my Māori nana, koro, and mother for the first 7 years of my life. And then we moved in with my Pākehā dad. Piopio was a little place. Mum and dad got back together again. And we moved onto the farm, and I had 3 younger sisters. But I lost that connection to te ao Māori a little bit because we were on the farm. And so getting back into rugby made me feel more connected to my Māori side and being Māori and embracing that. So you've got to find your type 5. Who are those people that complement your skills? Who are your allies? Who are the networks that you want to be involved with? I'm really fortunate I'm in governance roles now because I have so many more connections and kaupapa whānau that help me to do what I want to do, and vice versa. But if you really want to change things, you can help people, you can mentor, but if the system is pakaru, if the system isn't allowing you to grow, you've got to change the system. And so you sometimes just have to kick it forward, or kick it completely out of the stadium and start it fresh. So that's what I'm trying to do, trying to kick it forward. I'm out of time. And I just want to finish on this, the art of the rolling maul. I love mauls, they're beautiful things. Because you don't know who's actually pushing, you don't know where the ball is in there, but somehow, everyone's patient, everyone's pushing, and it's going forward and you're making progress. So that's what change is like sometimes. This is me when I first started on the board. I'm looking a bit depressed there. A few years later, we had 3 wahine on the board, 2 Māori, Bailey got on the board, and 1 Pacifica. So we're making progress. We're getting there. I think it's 4 now. You got to celebrate your wins. So I celebrate every little win I have, and I really enjoy it and appreciate it in sport and out of sport. Because as I said, I have a love-hate relationship with sport. So he tia, let's proceed, let's keep going. And I've just got a little video, if that's okay, to play.
Save me, save me, save me.
Never been done before. We've spoken about like never before in our team. There's so many firsts for us this year. First World Cup, first time ever women have sold out Eden Park. So I want to give a big mihi to all our whānau, all our fans. We feel your energy, we feel your aroha, and we feel your tautoko.
E te whānau, give it up for Professor Dame Dr. Farah Palmer.
Ko te reo